welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And this is our big episode 60. If you were getting older, 60 would be a big pinnacle point.
It is. Oh shit! It's kind of gone by kind of quickly, you know. I mean, it's weird because some episodes feel like they were so long ago, yet other episodes feel like they were just yesterday. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean too. Because sometimes I look at them like, wow, that was number 13.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I mean, I'll look back on like some of the earlier ones, like, oh, we talked about that long ago. It seemed like we just talked about like a few weeks ago. Then I look at some more recent ones, like I totally forgot about that episode.
Well, yeah, sometimes I look back mostly because I look at the movies and I'm like, oh boy, that movie came out. Well, it came out 40 podcasts ago, but really that meant only like 3 months ago.
Yeah, so, yeah, but...
I don't know, you look pretty sweaty. I know it's like Satan's lounge in here, but...
Yeah, well, clarify that. I actually just got back from a friend of mine works on a farm, and another friend of mine was visiting, and they had some shit they had to do, like, well, if we get done with this farm work, we'll be able to go hang out later. We'll be able to hang out sooner. Someone's like, all right, well, I'll help. So I go over there, and this is a farm, and I go there, and they they breed a lot of animals. They primarily like
does their house just smell incredibly horrible?
I haven't been inside the house
because everybody I've ever known that lived on a farm, like their house just always smells so god awful. I always wonder, like, how do you invite people over?
Well, it's actually
how can you do? I mean, you probably go like, oh, I'm used to it, but.
They primarily like raise horses. I should clarify.
Oh, okay, horses isn't that big of a yeah.
And what it is like they. I haven't been inside the owner's house because my friend isn't a member of the family. She works there and she lives in a little separate house. And the car's going by.
You get all fucking distracted like a dog.
There's a noise. There's someone at the door. Hurry! Yeah. No, anyway.
Okay, there was an explosion earlier when I was walking the dogs today.
Probably a meth lab.
No, probably not a meth lab.
There was a meth lab explosion somewhere in Twinehart the other day.
Was there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, where I was at, it was like probably not. Probably somebody was like, I don't know, throwing dynamite or something.
Really? Dynamite? Like just some like gold bear? Like just chucking dynamite into a pond? Something's gotta come out eventually! Yahoo! No, anyway.
Loch Ness Monster can't get away from me!
Yeah. Just a fucking huge nugget comes out. He suddenly turns in like Daffy Duck from an old Warner Brothers cartoon. You know? Anyway, back to the story. So, I'm over there and I'm helping, like, you know, they're just trying to, there's a couple things I gotta get done before they can go out. So I'm like, they're trying to, like, what can we give Ryan what to do to make, so he could feel like he's being helpful. What they do is, they're weed whacking. They only had one weed whacker. So they said, all right, well, they just gave me, like, this, the lady who's mainly the boss, she gives me this, like, sigh. This, like, curved sigh.
Like a hammer and sickle.
Yeah, kind of like that. And, they said, okay, just, like, you know, go ahead and just chop down the thicker stuff the weed whacker can't get. So I'm doing that. I'm just hacking away. And the first thing I say when I get this, because there's like 3 young people there and then this lady who's kind of an older woman. And I say, like, is it bad? The first thing that comes to mind when I hold this is like Scarecrow from Batman. The 3 young people laugh and the older lady just looks at me like, if my man was still alive before the war, you'd fag drag your ass, you know?
See, I feel like if I had one of those, I'm like, can I get a hammer to go with this?
I just like, Scarecrow. I was just first thing.
How much was this lady paying you to like?
I wasn't paying. I was just helping out.
You were just helping out?
Yeah.
I was to say, like, I'm like, how much is somebody paying you to get there and manually chop down weeds with like a sickle?
I was just going down chopping the big stuff she couldn't get with the fucking weed whacker.
And they weren't paying you.
I was just being nice. They're
Why keeping you up to this house?
Well, as soon as they got done with the thing, we were able to go out and hang out and do shit. So I was just like, well, I'll help out, get done sooner. So I did that, and I kind of got the majority of it done. Like, I don't want to be the lazy guy just sitting back. So then they say, oh, we can go inside. There's, like, this one horse. There's this one little, like, area where this horse was grazing. You can go inside there and chop down those weeds. Like, is that the horse's food? Oh, the horse doesn't give a shit about it. So I go in there. I start, you know, like, are you aware of horses? I'm like, well, do you know, are you good with horses? Like, I never really dealt with horses, but I played Red Dead Redemption shit, you know? So,
yeah, fucking I've seen a horse before.
Yeah, exactly. So I just go in there.
This isn't my first rodeo.
First real one, maybe, but...
yeah, but not, like, imaginary.
Yeah, so I go in there and I start chopping down some of these, at first the horse is keeping its distance, but it's keeping close to me. Almost trying to, like, mind fuck me. Like, it's going to, like, stand right behind me as I'm chopping these down. And I'm just like, okay. And after a while, the horse then starts to eat it. It starts, like, kind of like, the fuck, man? You know, they'll like get in front of me if I'm going like a certain like batch of these trees, these brush. The horse would suddenly get in front of me and just stare at me. It's like, oh, okay, you know, and then it started like just trying to like, it was keeping within like a 5 foot distance of me, just almost circling. Okay, time to go. It's like this horse is like, why are you doing that? I'm eating that brush. That's my brush. I don't know why it's talking like Marky Mark, but you know. It's like a 90s movie. Marky Mark switches his body with a horse.
This horse was just gonna, like, you know, bend you over and rape you. Like, oh yeah, old Bob in there hasn't been laid in years.
Alright. I'm not gonna lie.
He doesn't give a fuck anymore.
While I was working on this, I was thinking, if I tell Spencer, he's gonna somehow insert a dick joke. This was somewhat of a social experiment. I'm like, if I tell Spencer this, will he insert as a dick joke? And it took you a little longer than I expected, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I thought I'd let you finish first.
Thank you, that's very kind of you.
That's exciting.
That's why I'm all sweaty here, so yeah.
Yeah, farms are weird. I don't know.
Farms are weird.
I don't know, man. Farms are fucking, like, they're, like, out there, man. Like, different. There's, like, animals and shit.
It's fucking deep.
I got a story that has something to do with a farm, but not really. I was at the Sportsman, which is, like,
kind of a farmer crowd in there.
Well, yeah, which is, like, you know, a breakfast house. I guess that also has lunch.
A lot of, like, dead animals, heads on the walls.
Yeah, it's like old-fashioned, like, kind of like...
the Somalopes head on the wall.
Yeah.
Going a few episodes back, but I wonder if, like, any, like, you know, kind of like the same guy who made, like, the singing bass, if they just made, like, an Osama's head mounted on the wall.
And it sang.
Yeah. Don't worry, be happy.
Well, we went there for breakfast I think last Sunday, I guess it was. And it was kind of crowded, but, I mean, that's to be expected on Sunday at about noonish. But there's a table sitting next to us. And it looked like, you know, like, maybe a father, an uncle, and, like, a kid. Like, like an 8-year-old boy. And this boy was being ridiculed. Like, the father and I think the uncle, or it might have been the grandpa, I'm not too sure, was just sitting there being, like, telling him, like, okay, he was asking all these Revolutionary War questions, like, you know who this and this and this is, right? Now, what year was that? And the kid's like, well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You need to know this shit. This is your founding fathers. And then it's like, you know, because at first you're not really paying attention, so you're not really hearing exactly what they're saying. You just kind of hear Revolutionary War, George Washington, you know, continue on. And later on, they're like talking about aviation, and they're like,
the Wright brothers, man.
No, it's like your mother lives in Michigan, right? Well, how far is that? Well, I don't know. It's like 10 hours. 10 hours? What are you, a fucking idiot? Well, no, it's 3.5 hours. Now, how many miles is that? Jimmy, how many fucking miles is that?
What a bunch of fucking...
Now, how fast is that plane going? If a plane's going 500 miles per hour, and it's 250,000 miles there, how fast is it going? Or how many miles is that?
Did this kid have, like, a math paper in front of him, or are they just, like...
No, they were just fucking, like, freeballing it. And asking these questions.
Look, man, it's been a real rough week down at the quarry. I really just need to rip into an 8-year-old kid and bring him down to my level. That's all I really need right now. And in public, no less. It will help me sleep later tonight.
Too, where the guy was
while
like,
I fall asleep to the marathon to Duck Dynasty.
He was like, you're being a dumbass. There's no dumbasses in this family. This kid just like, and he's got like that kind of like 90s like caramel colored hair. Remember like when kids used to like, they had like a little poof and then it, like they'd like have black hair and they'd bleach it, but it kind of wouldn't be like blonde. It'd be kind of caramely.
Did the kid also have like a sweater tied around his vest?
No, he wasn't that 90s. But that was just it. The kid's just like, oh, I don't know, 10 hours? And it's just kind of like, well, of course your mom fucking lives in Michigan. She clearly didn't want to be around these guys. She was sick and tired of being like questioned the whole time, quizzed.
How many cups of sugar are in that pie? Tell me how many fucking cups of sugar are in that pie.
You should be able to know it by tasting it.
I taste it, you can't taste it, you fucking bitch. This is your area of the house. Stay in this fucking kitchen.
You gotta earn this fucking breakfast here, but I just want to eat the breakfast and get out of here. Please, can I go back to school? I know it's Sunday, but just drop me off for Christ's sake!
I'll wait out front. No.
You know there's a problem when a kid really wants to go to school.
Yeah.
You know, because clearly, especially this day and age, a kid would probably almost never want to really go to school anymore. It's like, I got, you know, the TV, I got movies, you know, books. Well, no kid says books anymore, I guess. Video games, all this stuff.
You don't hear this anymore, but you Game Boy.
Yeah, Game Boy.
You don't hear that. You hear DS now, so.
You know, it's really weird, because I always still call it, like, DS. That's the Game Boy DS.
Yeah.
There's probably somebody out there be like, it's not called Game Boy DS, it's called the Nintendo 3DS.
I wouldn't make that correction, but yeah, there are those people out there.
Well, you know the fact that somebody's going to correct you at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people will correct you on all the stupidest things.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they know they're wrong.
Just this poor... I had one time had a friend. He's a really good guy, and I still talk to him on Facebook here and there, but I once met this friend. He literally said, like, school is cool.
Well, yeah, because he probably goes home and then, like, his grandma, like, beats him. Oh, Jimmy! Jimmy, clean the cat shit up! You fuck!
It just really sounded like a PSA commercial for, like, hey, kids, go to school. It's awesome.
Like, I fucking love school, man. I fucking love it.
It's PJ from Goof Troop.
PJ!
How many miles to Michigan? Oh, God. Max, can I just come to your house? No,
You're
Max.
going 500 miles per hour, and it's 2,500 miles. How long does it take?
I feel like I can't fucking answer that question right there.
5 hours, but still, it's like one of those
Because
ones.
you listen to it for long enough.
Yeah, you listen, well, like, especially when you hear it over, but it's like, yeah, it's like, this kid's like fucking 9 years old. Or 8 years old, something like that.
That sounds like a high school math question.
I know, well, just like he was getting these word problems, he was getting history questions. Always just trying to.
I mean, the big stuff. Okay, who is the?
And not only it's not even like nice quizzing. It's just like these guys are like hounding him, like they're interrogating a child. Like he's in like a dark room with one light.
Shine down on him. One of them's like
and
smoking a cigarette in the corner, just waiting. One of them's playing good cop, bad cop.
It's not even good cop, good cop, bad cop. It's bad cop, bad cop. Yeah.
So it just keeps fucking going on.
It was pretty funny though.
Who was the 4th president of the United States? I don't know.
Well, come on! What, you never read a fucking book?
Who was the 2nd? Samuel Adams. John Adams, you stupid fat fuck!
Your son's becoming an alcoholic when he gets older.
That kid is so fucked if his parents stay that way.
I know.
Poor kid.
Yeah, it's like the father and the grandfather or the uncle or whatever the hell they were. Who knows what their relation was? It could have just been two like jerk off uncles. They'd be like,
just
hey Billy, you like to have breakfast? Oh boy, I couldn't wait to have breakfast. That's what he's in for now.
What if it was just the girl and the boy? Just these two guys just come over there and sit at the table and just start questioning this kid.
He's like, well, me and my little sister just earned $10. We thought we'd go have a split of breakfast, and then these guys just show up out of nowhere.
We were working at the cotton factory. Our friend Oliver got thrown out last night for asking for seconds, so this took us 3 months to save up, so we figured we'd just do this nice family thing.
Until these guys show up. In fact, these guys follow me everywhere I go, and they just hound me. I know I wasn't doing so. Ever since I wasn't doing well in school, I have a feeling that my parents paid off these two creepsters to come by and violently quiz me.
What comes to mind is like two like thicker guys with like camouflage baseball hats, and maybe one of them has a beard.
They weren't really thicker. They were just kind of they were thinner guys, but they did kind of have they look kind of they're wearing ball caps. One guy had, I think the older guy had a mustache, big glasses, and just looked threatening.
Yeah,
like an old angry bitter person who's like, if you don't do that fucking history or those word problems, you'll end up like me. Intelligent, but nowhere to go!
I'm saving you, Timmy! I have to keep switching between Timmy and Jimmy and Mikey.
It's Billy and Steve.
We don't remember your fucking name for all this history lesson, but not even your fucking name.
You caramel-colored fuck? Well, I got another Clint fact. Clint Eastwood facts, that
Clint
is.
Eastwood fact. We just might go close to the Clint cast.
Yeah, we always have a Clint Eastwood fact for at least
or a Batman reference.
Of some sort. But, Clint Eastwood, he ran for mayor in Carmel, California in, like, 1986, or no, take it back, like 83-ish or whatever. Mm-hmm. You want to know why he was one of his main reasons for running for mayor?
I'm dying to hear it. I know it's going to be an awesome reason. It's Clint Eastwood.
It really is. It's actually just... Because
I hate that one street
in Carmel,
30th Street.
They weren't allowing people to sell ice cream on the streets. you literally, if you walk down the road eating ice cream in Carmel, you got fined.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just funny because I can't even imagine Clint Eastwood eating anything but just a raw steak
with a bunch of like vitamins.
Yeah, or like maybe I know he's a health nut, but I can't imagine him just eat. I just because of the movies I watch, I can't imagine him just being super healthy. But I don't imagine him eating ice cream. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because in the 80s, there was a time period where, like, you started getting into, like, the super vitamin diets, where it's just like, eat this, but then throw down a couple vitamins.
Yeah.
And amino acids. But no, yeah, that was one of the main reasons. That, and because they weren't allowing him to expand his hog breath in restaurant.
That's why I ran for that is a badass reason.
Anyone with a 75% of the vote.
It's Clint Eastwood. Who wouldn't? Yeah.
Oh, that's badass.
He could run for president, and people. Yeah.
They said Clint Eastwood spent $40,000 on his campaign. The guy that's running against him spent $300. That's actually pretty amazing. The guy that spent $300 though got like a quarter of the vote still.
Yeah, that says a lot. I just imagine like you can't walk down the street eat ice cream. Just some like. You just see some kid walking down the street with the ice cream cone. Some like cop comes running up to the billy club, slaps the fucking kid in the face with it. Be doing hard time now, Carmel time, bitch.
You ain't gonna get any more caramel.
The kid's reaching for it, just stomps on the ice cream cone. The guy's like, I love my fucking job. Now I'm gonna go give shit to some kid about who the founding fathers were and how many miles is to Michigan to Carmel.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that guy was. He's the guy who was a cop in Carmel, and then he just decided to retire up here and then like harass children.
That's a pretty badass.
That was one of the things, right when he got in office, that was one of the first things he took care of was that ice cream policy. Like, people are going to be able to walk the streets and eat ice cream.
I just imagine, like, if Clint Eastwood found out about it, he just, like, hardest things is, I rarely indulge in such things as ice cream, but today I'll make an exception. He goes and buys one. Some officer comes up to him, Mr. Eastwood, I'm a big fan of your work, but unfortunately, I got to give you a fine because this isn't allowed. Then you just get to zoom in on his eyes, the squint, just, you'll rue the day, punk, you'll rue the day.
He's got a badge, just says mayor on it.
Yeah, first thing he does as soon as he gets power, like, fucking kicks that guy out of town, has him go to prison.
Well, that's also what he did, too, is he took all the people that were like, he's like, Carmel used to be a real nice community and stuff, and now it's just gone kind of downhill. So he kicked out, like, all, like, the other guys in, like, the, whatever you'd call the mayor house.
I don't even see him doing that. I see him, like, just, like, burning, like, locking him in there and burning it down to the ground.
Well, apparently, no, like, the posters that he put up, like, they look kind of reminiscent to, like, Dirty Harry posters for, like, mayor.
What the poster look like?
I don't know what it looked like. That's just how they described it in the book.
Just him pointing a gun with, like, Eric directly at the camera, and, like, a kid, like, smiling behind him holding a thing of ice cream.
I think they said, like, a saying, too, is like, go ahead, vote for me.
Make my day.
Yeah, pretty much like that, but just the voting in there.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty badass reason.
And they said Ronald Reagan called him up after he won that day, and it was all like, isn't it amazing that a man who was in a movie with a monkey can become a mayor?
Was he a big Reagan supporter?
He was friends with Reagan. I think because I think every actor was friends with Reagan. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, dude, there's an actor in the White House.
Grandpa Reagan.
I could mooch in there because Jimmy Stewart was a big like friend of Reagan's and all that stuff.
So if you're a friend, yeah, it makes sense because he was there for a while. Yeah. I mean, he was in the film industry for a while, so a lot of Hollywood people stopping by for that.
Yeah, so he had always had like the Hollywood people like hanging out at the White House, which probably made all the old people going like, them actors are in the house again, trying to take our good name.
Did you see actually? Did you see like Obama's like funny speech he gave? I'm assuming it was some kind of benefit of some sort.
No, I heard about that. Like the one was like the stand-up comedy.
It was generally stand-up comedy. Yeah, he was at this. He was at a. I'm assuming it was some kind of benefit dinner or something like that. It was primarily political people there, but there was also celebrities. And for 20 minutes, he was ripping on himself and Fox News, and just like he was actually really funny. I don't know if it was the writers or whatnot, but it was actually pretty good. When he got up there, first thing that happens is they're playing, now if you please welcome the President of the United States. Like, bum, 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 bum. What? Yeah! You know, and he gets up there, he's just like, I'm sorry to say, Rush Limbaugh was right. You know, it's like second term, baby. He puts up 2 fingers, you know. No, but all joking aside, and he goes on, he actually brought up like Photoshop images. He was doing like things I wasn't really expecting. Like at some point he was talking about like, we've been already looking into my presidential library. We're thinking we're going to be really next to the George Bush one. And it just shows a picture of the George Bush library. And then it shows like just a picture of what would be the Obama library with a big like sign arrow pointing at it, like his fault. And then later he went on to say like he said like they also say they want my library in my hometown. It's like guys, let's keep it within the states. Come on, you know. At one point, like he said, like Spielberg's actually doing his next movie about me. He did Lincoln. I love Lincoln. So here's actually a little clip of the behind the scenes, the Obama movie. It's Spielberg he's talking a little shit to Obama jokingly, and then he was like, he doesn't like who knows anything about him? Have you seen his birth certificate? I haven't seen his birth certificate. You know, he says like, so that's when I realized the only person that can really play him is Daniel Day-Lewis. And they blatantly just show Obama says, hi, I'm Daniel Day-Lewis and I'm playing President Barack Obama. and he's all like makeup takes about a good 2 hours. How he gets these ears on, I don't know. These ears are the most uncomfortable thing to wear, you know? So the whole thing's pretty funny. I mean, the last 3-4 minutes of it, he closes up with like, okay, but in all seriousness, we've been going through some shit lately. We will overcome, but yeah, thanks for coming out, all that. You know, but overall, it was actually really funny. I don't really know what it's under. You probably go online, you just type President Obama funny speech.
Yeah, I probably can find it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's funny how hard sometimes it is to search for shit online when you don't know exactly what it's called.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah.
Like, there's one thing, I'm thinking about making, we might do it, because, you know, there's only so many ideas you can jam into one episode. Because, you know, we have to plan ahead for the Drunk Batmans. Make a reference to it, but it's not set in stone. But you know those things, like, they're in the Quiznos commercials, they're like
weird puppet
the
thingy.
Screaming, blah, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can't find those things. I don't know what
the Quiznos ads?
They were before the quiz. Maybe you just type in Quizno ads and find it.
You probably could like link yourself from there.
Yeah, because I don't know the things by themselves, because they were a viral thing before they were in those Quiznos commercials. Only like in one Quiznos commercial, I think.
No, they were in a couple of them, because I always thought that was almost like the downfall of Quiznos.
Well, they're still going, luckily, but for a while.
Barely.
Yeah. They're like, blah, blah, blah.
Like, more than half of them have closed down.
I was thinking about, I don't know, it's maybe jumping ahead here, but considering at some point in time having a Batman episode where he realizes the internet, you can become famous off the internet, so he starts parodying, like, viral shit from, like, 6 or 7 years ago. Just, nobody cares, Robin! You know?
Those things are probably from even, like, 10 years
I know,
ago.
by 10 years ago. Like,
not more.
Batman trying to do, like, an unforgivable video or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what any of those are.
Yeah. But anyway.
But, have you ever seen the Aquaman pilot?
The live action one?
Yeah.
I know it's out there. I've never seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I actually just watched it.
How was it?
It's actually not that bad. I mean, it's TV.
It's made by some guys who did Smallville, I think.
Yeah, but it's probably like better than Smallville, or at least it just seems like it's got more action kind of going on. It's not too bad. I mean, like it's made for TV, so you know it's going to be kind of cheap. That's kind of to be expected. But it goes kind of like, you know, it's kind of like, oh, it kind of takes place like on the Florida Keys. This is like they clearly need a place to shoot it. Can't shoot everything underwater.
Yeah.
And the guy who plays him is just like, he wears like an orange like tank top and a pair of green swim trunks, like board shorts.
It's probably the same guy that played Aquaman in Smallville, if I had to guess.
Probably. I don't know who played him in Smallville, but
I don't know him either. But he like a lot of characters actually end up coming in.
It also
Smallville
had like
later.
Ving Rhames was in it.
Yeah, I saw the commercial for it actually.
It had Ving Rhames and it had what's his name? The guy from fucking Young Guns.
Emilio Estevez?
No.
Lou Diamond Phillips?
Yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips is in it too. He plays like Aquaman's like adopted father, or the guy who adopts Aquaman. But
Lou Diamond Phillips is is he a Marine officer? Because his father's a Marine officer or something. Isn't he a Navy guy? Yeah. All right.
But it's one episode of like 40 minutes, so it's like you kind of get like this partial like intro story, but then it's like, oh, there we go. I don't know why they canceled it. I mean, it's just as good as any other show. It's probably better than.
I think because people still have that thing of Aquaman locked in their head. It's Aquaman, who gives a shit.
I think people just don't like Aquaman. It's hard to convince a regular person out there to like Aquaman. I think just like the average Joe just thinks of him as kind of lame.
Well, I think people who get into comics, they're generally gonna if they get into a comic book character, they're gonna get into one of 3 characters, and that's Batman, Spider-Man,
Superman
maybe the X-Men or Wolverine at least. But if someone who's never read comics, I think those are the first ones they probably jump to.
Yeah, pretty much because I think anything that has like a bigger movie series / bigger animated series.
Iron Man now maybe, given how big Iron Man is.
Yeah, Iron Man might be one of those ones. It might be one of the first comics that somebody might buy.
Because it went from being one of those things like Iron Man, who gives a shit, not to a level of Aquaman, but went from being one of those things, who gives a shit, to being like
probably like Aquaman. I mean, like, so the fact that nobody really knew who he was though. So you think everybody kind of knows like that name Aquaman. But But Iron Man was kind of like that Marvel character, like, yeah, whatever. I mean, like, you just kind of heard about him through other people's stuff, but...
Yeah, and I think that people get, when they think Aquaman, they think 60s Aquaman riding a seahorse. So I think when they try to man him up by giving him a mullet and give him, like, a trident for an arm and all that.
Fucking hook.
Yeah. So... I don't know. It could be good. At some point they're gonna make an Aquaman movie because they're planning ahead.
Yeah.
So I think once they actually do they simplified the Justice League script down to like 5 characters. I think it was like Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman. And then I think they're gonna build on more from there. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
At least that's the main character. The only character they're kind of missing is Aquaman. But
yeah, they'll get an Aquaman eventually. So. It's more than anything, I just feel kind of bad for him. He's always getting the shaft, no one really gives a shit.
What's funny, too, is, like, they didn't put in, like, Cyborg, just to have a black character.
I think Cyborg will probably...
It's kind of like the Avengers. I mean, like, I know you got, the only black person you have in there is just, I don't know why I'm thinking the name Stryker, but, in Avengers.
You got
Nick Fury.
You got Nick Fury, and then, because Avengers switch out, at one point...
No, I'm talking about the movie.
Oh, strictly in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got
It's kind of just the white man's like rampage.
Kind of is the white man's rampage. It sounds really bad when you put it that way.
Well, it's like really like
that was what Joss Whedon was originally trying to sell off the movie. Like, it's like tagline: "The white man's rampage." Well,
if you had the original Nick Fury in there too, it would have made it like that.
Yeah. Well, I think they just went with Samuel Jackson Nick Fury.
Just throw a black guy in there.
Well, a little bit of that, but at the same time, I think because he's based off Ultimate Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And I think Ultimate, because I mean, Nick Fury, I'm sure he still pops in Marvel, but he was a real presence in the Ultimate Universe, and I mean, he was in Spider-Man a lot too. Mm-hmm. So I think that that this generation is probably more like aware or at least more comfortable with like that Nick Fury. And I really like Ultimate Nick Fury, and I thought that was cool. They had Samuel Jackson as him.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. No, I think it's probably a lot of like younger people nowadays don't even realize that Nick Fury was originally white.
A lot of people probably don't. I'm not going to lie. When I first read that comic, I didn't know who Nick Fury was. I assumed he was a made-up character. Then I looked back. I'm like, oh, wait, because there's that Punisher, brawler game.
Yeah, for Sega Genesis and the arcade.
Where it's like Nick Fury is the Punisher sidekick. I mean, okay.
It's player 2.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes, in the sense of the game, it makes sense. But Nick Fury be, hunting him down and all that. But, yeah.
Well, I think the modern Nick Fury is a little bit more, he likes to hunt down, more superheroes a little bit more than, I think the older Nick Fury used to work more with superheroes.
He used to go out into the field, and they reached the point where he was manning S.H.I.E.L.D., and he was running S.H.I.E.L.D., and things would happen. I don't know if Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., still runs. I know he pops in other comics here and there, that aren't Ultimate Universe. He still pops in, because during Civil War, he popped in, and he was, on the run. Became public enemy #1 for a little while. So that usually happens if you're the top. And then Iron Man became public enemy #1 after a while because he was leading S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that.
So if you lead S.H.I.E.L.D., you're bound to go downhill.
Eventually, if you lead S.H.I.E.L.D., everyone's gonna go after you. Yeah, because Norman Osborn ended up running S.H.I.E.L.D. and he changed the name to Hammer, and then he's all like, "I own all of Iron Man's shit," and that's where Iron Patriot comes from because they were forming the Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
In Iron Patriot's in this one, but Rhodey plays Iron Patriot. Iron Patriot's supposed to be a bad guy, but whatever. Maybe eventually this suit got passed on to him. Who knows?
We'll figure it out.
I just think you should have kept him as War Machine, made a bad guy Iron Patriot, but we'll see what happens. We don't know until we see the movie.
Exactly.
Which we'll see tonight, hopefully.
Yeah, but speaking of comics, they had this really sweet crossover come out. It was Sonic crossed over with Megaman. Which sounds, at first I'm like, well, that's pretty cool anyways. But I'm like, makes perfect sense. Because, Dr. Wily and Dr. Robotnik, they're really the same fucking guy. They both enslave, Dr. Wily creates slave robots, while Dr. Robotnik enslaves animals into slave robots to do their bidding.
Yeah,
and they both fight a blue guy.
I wonder if they're both ever kind of like Wiley's you know what, man, we're the same thing. We both hate the color blue. We both want slaves. We both, I'm a little thinner, you're a little bigger. Robotic's like, why the fuck would you mention that?
We got mustaches.
Yeah, we got mustaches. No, why would you bring up the weight thing? I'm very sensitive. All right, fuck. I get this whole Buttnick thing every fucking day when I have to deal with that fucking rodent. So why do you have to bring this shit up, man?
It's I was born with a large ass. It's not my fault that I have to be the Buttnick around this place.
Well, how
you
is
short, stubby bastard.
How is it so far?
So, they're on issue 2 right now. And so far, it's pretty badass. And issue 2 is the coolest cover. It is Marvel vs. Capcom, the original one, the character select menu, but with Mega Man and Sonic characters.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's really badass. But so far it's kind of cool. It's like at first, like, they've enslaved Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Shadow. And they sent those guys after Megaman. And then Sonic was chasing the bad Megaman. And then they found a way to fight each other.
There's no crossover that does where they don't fight each other.
The main characters don't fight each other.
Yeah, like at some point they always fight when they ever have a crossover.
But so far it's pretty cool. It's actually, like, I was actually pretty impressed with those comics. It's sometimes I kind of going, like, you know, it's like, it's Sonic and Mega Man, as much as I love these things, sometimes you kind of forget, it's like, they are still kind of kid things. Mm-hmm. You almost don't want to believe they're kid things. You're like, there's no fucking way. It's been 25 years. It can't be kid things anymore. Well,
something that the Sonic the Hedgehog comic has to be doing something right. Because I was at this one comic store a little bit ago, and I overheard this guy talking. It's not like the guy knew his shit. Sonic the Hedgehog is apparently the longest running children's comics, because usually they have their course.
Like Archie.
Yeah. Well, usually they run their course for about for a few years, and then once the thing dies out, it goes out too. Mm-hmm. But it's actually one of the longest running, so it must be doing something right.
Well, yeah, clearly they're doing something to be sell, because it's strange enough too. Sonic's one of the few comics you can find in places that, and that's the only comics they sell.
I think Archie Comics is primarily living off Sonic. I don't know anybody that reads Archie.
No, I don't either. That feels like such a hard... when I was a kid, I knew people that read Archie. I knew girls that would read, like, Betty and Veronica / Archie stuff.
Well, it just seems like a weird... I mean, maybe they're doing something good with Archie, I don't know. But it just seems kind of like, all right, this guy likes 2 girls, and he can't make up his mind which one he wants, you know?
60 years later.
Yeah. Still, it's like that. Remember that time... This is off topic. We'll come back to the Sonic and Mega Man thing in a second. But remember that time? There's a little bit ago, we went to Modesto. We walked through the mall. And there is like this kind of a, I guess, boutique store. They're right next to Macy's. It was called Archie's Girls.
Well, I think it was a place that sold
Archie's Girlfriend or
like
something.
Earrings and piercing stuff and
like
things like
perfume, yeah.
Perfume and like, yeah, dude, was it called Archie's Girls?
Archie's Girlfriend or Archie's Girls.
Something like that. Yeah, but I just remember it just made us feel like we're real old men, because you're looking at that picture of Archie, and he's like standing there in the center, and he's got like pierced ear, pierced
a real
nose.
guy. It's a real guy.
Yeah, it's a live action photo.
And the guy, I'll be honest, the guy wasn't a very good looking guy either. No. And he had this like really slutty and really slutty Betty and Veronica both on his side. And they're both kissing him both in the cheek. And he's giving this look like an arched eyebrow, like the old Rock arched eyebrow, smiling while sipping a milkshake.
Yeah, and he's got all these piercings. Like, he got like an eyebrow piercing too.
Well, it was like weird piercings, not just like, okay, a small one. He had like a huge loop out of one of his rings.
Yeah, one of those gauge ones.
Yeah,
and stuff. So it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, we kept walking past by this thing, like, you're just, like, complaining about that fucking sign. Like, so much that we're like, where's your manager?
I find this offensive, you motherfuckers!
Archie is an American hero!
Times, like, that's like the bitter old man that hates everything. Like, times are changing, I ain't changing with them!
If they're gonna change, you're gonna all go down with me! Because I have C4 strapped to myself! And terminal 4 cancer, so I don't give a flying fuck if...
Modesto Mall was destroyed today by a man who,
The last words claimed that they were ruining the good name of Archie.
He requested a plaque and a statue for his noble deed, but it is less than likely he'll receive it by the city of Modesto, saying as 200 people were killed in the crossfire.
I don't know. Yeah, the pictures made me angry.
Well, I know that Archie was trying to do some progressive things. I was reading like a Rolling Stone magazine, and they apparently introduced a gay character into the comic, which that's pretty progressive. But I mean, as long as he's not
nowadays, it always seems kind of like it's like, oh, everybody's putting a gay character into their comics now.
Well, I guess as long as it's one of those things.
I guess it's like back in the day too, when it was like probably like in like the 70s and 80s, where everybody was like, oh, they're putting a black character in the comic now, just gotta have a black person in there.
Well, I think it's more one of those things. I don't think it's a problem if they're starting to put like more like ethnicities and more like people of like different sexual orientations in games, just or comics, games, whatever. Because, you know, I mean, at some point they got to break the mold. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's different if like it starts out that way, but sometimes those things always kind of feel shoehorned in.
If they put the character in there, if they just put this character in there who's already like this, I think that's fine. It's when they suddenly
just happen to turn out Archie's gay and he's fucking Jughead.
That would sell some books, and then like the next week, like
and Betty and Veronica, they're just apparently lesbos. It's just a gay fest in here now.
And you would probably get both sides. You probably would get gay people reading it and straight people, because straight people like, well, straight and guys probably want to see Archie
fuck Jughead.
Not Archie, I was getting mixed up. Betty and Veronica like eat each other out.
There's nothing fucking gay about it. Somebody says in this issue, Archie fucks Jughead.
You don't gotta buy that issue to see that. You can go online and type it on in Google Images and it will appear. But I mean, if you come in with like first party shit of like Betty and Veronica eating each other out, a lot of people will buy that. They'll skip through. Okay, I need to see her that. Okay, Archie sucking dick. Oh, here we go, Betty and Veronica. But you can go online and see that too. So I guess it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But you should pay for it if you like it. If you want to see Archie fuck Jughead, you better pay for that shit. Get out of that.
Going back to Kevin chasing Amy with Kevin Smith right there. I love that opening conversation. Like, Archie is not fucking Mr. Weatherby. He's offering him tutoring class. He's offering him tutoring after class. Like, read between the lines, bitch. Speaking of Kevin Smith, though.
Oh, yeah. We went and saw Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie. That was live.
That was followed up with a Q&A by Kevin Smith.
In front of a live studio audience.
Yep. We were in there.
So. Yeah, it was pretty badass. It was at the Sacremento's Crest Theater.
Mm-hmm. And it was definitely quite an experience for me. And, of course, we're in there for a while. It's a very nice theater, the Crest Theater. I've never been there before.
I think it's one of those ones, because there's not that many old theaters left, and I think that's one of the few ones. Like, I mean, there's probably like 10, maybe the entire United States. Mm-hmm. And it's strange enough, that state one in Modesto is one of the early ones, too, because I think it's 1929 that came out.
Yeah.
Because they destroyed most of them a long time ago.
I think that theater, I'm not trying to be a dick here, I think that theater probably would be better for, like, a like band or stand-up show, because the screen was pretty small.
Well, it's funny, too, because you look at the screen, you're like, it's still in 4:3. Like, why is it not... You think that, like, there's room to make it widescreen there, but...
Yeah. But either way, I mean, it was still quite an experience.
It's kind of how the state is, too. The state's theater's not, like, massive either. It's good size, but it's nothing ginormous.
Well, when we got there, I mean, we're kind of sitting there for a while, and at some point, I look over to you and Laura. I'm like, well, it's been 10 minutes. He's still not out here. People are still sitting down. There's still empty seats. I don't have to go that bad, but I'm going to the bathroom right now just to get this over. So I run down there.
Literally a minute later.
As soon as I zip down my pants, I hear, like, people start clapping, like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, fuck! And I just, like, as quickly as I can, I'm just bolting out there.
I whipped my dick out and just kind of zipped it up as going by. Peed on a guy on the way there.
It was worth it. So I'm running out there, and I'm like, I see Kevin Smith on stage, and he's all like people are clapping and cheering, and as I figured Kevin Smith would be doing, because Kevin Smith's my idol. He's sitting there like pretending like the whole audience is jerking off on him. He's like rubbing it out. He's like rubbing his face and his chest, like, oh. And like, I guess I didn't miss much. He just came out there, people were just cheering.
Yeah, you mostly just missed the long cheers. And by the time you started talking, you pretty much were there.
I got up to you guys and sat down. I look over you guys, like, of course, as soon as I leave the fucking room, because there's still a few empty seats and people are just wandering in late. And as I'm walking, there's like some fucking dirty... we're gonna come back to this dirty hippie a couple of times. There's some fucking dirty hippie that just kind of like hovering around, just like tripping on LSD or something. And I bump into the guy's like, whoa, looking around. You know, he's just kind of like standing in the middle of the fucking aisle. I'm like, God damn it, I just kind of
you don't even know how he doesn't even know how he got here, really.
He just kind of like falls down, just on his ass, just sits, just stays, like looks around. Just like, oh, God. So I'm running, you know. So I get up there. So he opens up with very quick, you know, just kind of introduction. They show a couple of like Kevin Smith themed commercials and a couple of short cartoons. Which those were funny and interesting.
Well, it's cool because they showed the Gremlin one for the Smodco Entertainment thing.
Yeah, the Gremlin Smodimation, which is my favorite one of those. Which I know a lot of people, even though the majority of people there were Kevin Smith fans, you know there's a few people who says, oh, I saw Mallrats once.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's had to be some of those people there, so they probably didn't know what it was, and I knew what was coming during that. So it was kind of cool seeing, even though it was like, most cases I kind of like being an empty theater, but this case it's cool seeing a theater packed with a bunch of people.
Well, it's cool when it's like, because it's not like, you know, if the theater's really packed, like, for just any movie, people, they're not there because they, like, love this director or they love these movies. They're just there last time because they're there. So they can give a flying fuck about anything else. But at least here, everybody was there because they wanted to see Kevin Smith. Yeah.
So then after the introduction and like, the video, the movie starts up. And then what's cool about the movie is, I mean, I guess some people can complain about it, but it was the same guy who does most of the Smodimations.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, the reason why they haven't had Smodimations for a while, because they're making this full-length movie. And the movie, you told me, because I never read it.
It was the Blunt Man. It was the Blunt Man and Chronic comic, which I remember because I read all 3 of the ones that he had, because he had the Clerks one, then the Chasing Dogma one, and the Blunt Man and Chronic. And I really saved that one for last because I was like,
now too.
Is there one?
There's a prequel to Clerks 2.
That's bad. I gotta check that out. And it's strange enough, I was like, the Blunt Man and Chronic, I'm like, it'll probably be good, but it probably won't be nearly as good as these other 2, you know. Probably be, you know, you can't get what you can't expect. But I remember that comic was actually better than the other ones. I was actually really surprised. I was like, whoa, this one's actually really fucking good.
Because even though me personally, even though I love Jay and Silent Bob, of his View Askew universe movies, Jay and Silent Bob, like movies that stay within View Askew universe, Jay and Silent Bob is probably my least favorite. Not that it's a bad movie. It's a good movie. It's funny as hell. It's just... I kind of like the dialogue between the other characters and how it's almost kind of like soul searching, where Jay and Silent Bob is very much just kind of like dicks and fart jokes, which is fine and it's funny, and that's what the movie was. But it did a good job of what it was. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a few jokes that kind of fell flat, but overall it was a pretty funny, good movie.
No, yeah, but pretty much it was that exact comic book, just like rendered out into a full-on animated movie, which was pretty darn cool. I mean, like, they just kind of added some more stuff, like anything that was kind of like, recent stuff. And then also like where Kevin Smith pops up and says something like, "Hey kids, this is blah blah blah, this and that."
Yeah, and then
Ninja Turtles, they come from Earth, not space.
The whole audience cheered on that line because
see, that's kind of the cool thing about with like an audience like that is because they all they're there to support Kevin Smith, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, because Michael Bay. The thing about that is because Michael Bay, if you don't know, he's producing the Ninja Turtles movie, and for a while they were saying turtles are from are going to be from space just because ooze sounds fucking stupid. So fans just freaked out on that.
Yeah.
And then just like the day we went to go see this movie, we actually saw. I was online like they scrapped the whole like space thing. They're going back to ooze. So I'm not sure if this movie had an impact on that because this was like the 7th showing of it. So anyway. The movie, it's pretty basic. Jay and Silent Bob are...
it's pretty much the story of how to become Blunt Man and Chronic, really.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, because as they're in the process of becoming Blunt Man and Chronic, they're given the opportunity to be superheroes this whole time.
Left and right, really.
Yeah, because it's just a bunch of, like, superhero, like, origins. And it's cool, because this comic book came out before some of these movies came out. So you knew it was directed towards comic book fans. So, because they had, like, a reference to this Captain America Super Soldier Serum.
They had Green Lantern.
Which this is before this comic came out. The movies are out, but this is before the comic, before it came out. Before the movies came out, the comic was out. So, I thought it was cool just how it's matched to that. Just not the big ones, like Batman. They made a reference to Spider-Man. And
pretty much they realized, let's just be Batman then.
Yeah. They had the whole Daredevil part, like, it's funny, the whole part when, like, because, those you don't know the Daredevil thing, Matt Murdock pushed a blind guy out of the way from, like, getting, like, hit by a car, and that's when, like, some acid or whatever splashed into his eyes. And this one, right when that's about to happen, the guy who's supposed to be Matt Murdock pushes, like, Silent Bob out of the way, and then they start kicking the shit out of him. Then he's like, "You Ben Affleck looking motherfucker!" So I thought that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and then it's like they get like $5 from the Super Soldier Serum.
Because if they just test for it, which they did, they get $5 and they get scratcher tickets, and they get scratcher tickets.
They become millionaires and they become Batman, pretty much.
Which Neil Gaiman played like the Alfred type character.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
It was just almost like a guy who's just kind of there just to kind of keep them in line, though they didn't really give a fuck.
Yeah. And then, like, it's a lot of, like, just really dick humor and cum humor, but it's funny still.
Yeah, it's still really funny.
Yeah, and they still had, what was it? They had Liza Dushku as the main bad guy, who was, like, an evil lesbian with a vibrator. They had Tara, because this one part kind of threw me off. You threw off, too. Tara Jones did the voice of... Tara Strong. Who's Tara Jones?
I don't know.
All right. Tara Strong did the voice of... Cockknocker. And he, and, like...
Instead of Mark Hamill.
Yeah, he pops up and stops it for a second. And the voice she's using for Cockknocker is the Bubbles voice from Powerpuff Girls.
Which I think it's supposed to actually be the My Little Pony voice, actually. I think that's what it's really supposed to be.
Oh,
it sounds a lot like it, but I think that's what it's supposed to be, though.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Right when they show Cockknocker, he gets, like, those little, like, shiny eyes. You know, they have that in, like, Powerpuff Girls, too. But, that's the other thing. It's like, it goes, it's like, I can see where that's funny on paper if you like, you heard that. But I just feel like in the movie, it's like, even if you couldn't get Mark Hamill... Which I don't know how you couldn't.
Because they're friends.
Yeah, it's like... I don't know. I just felt like that. It sounds strange when you're watching a comedy movie and then you say, like, well, that kind of took me out of the movie for a second every single time.
Whatever he thought. But I thought it was funny when he actually kills Cockknocker. Like, Jay's going against them. He knocks Cockknocker out and he says, this motherfucker can come back for me. He grabs a bottle, breaks it, has a slow hold on him, where he stabs him in the head a couple of times while he's knocked out. Then he slowly bleeds out. Then he puts the bottle in his own hand. He says, like, that's what Batman should do to the fucking Joker. Whole audience, like, roared on that line.
No, overall, it was still pretty darn funny, pretty cool.
And I like the reference it made to the 1989 Batman when, like, they're flying the Blunt plane.
Oh, they fly to the moon?
They fly to the moon, holds for a second, goes down, yeah. Audience crowd cheered on that part, too.
I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was kind of cool to have the audience cheered. Even though sometimes, like, but when you get, like, you get people in there who almost, like, they're so Kevin Smith fans that, like, every little scene, they're like,
the guy sitting behind us.
Yeah, that guy was just like, I mean, like, man, that guy was just like, it was just like, I thought he was going to die of laughter, literally.
Mm-hmm. Like, for me, I kind of laughed on certain, like, there's some things I did cheer on, because, I mean, usually I don't cheer for a movie, but if I know they're there and they're watching, I'll cheer
Well, I think that's different, is that they're there. I always just think it's dumb to cheer and clap when you're at a regular cinema. It's like
the guys in the projector booth turn and look at each other. We did good, Bob. We did good. I can fuck my wife with dignity tonight.
Yeah.
But no, this flick, though, I only recommend it if you're a Kevin Smith fan. And not just kind of like, oh, I like Clerks. Unless you really like Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah, because this movie's like, well, suppose movies like, straight enough, it reminds me a lot, I guess it's like that 90s humor, but there's a movie called El Super Bisto, made by Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
And it kind of has like that same style of humor with like just, you know, like a lot of dick fucking jokes coming, a lot of ass.
Yeah.
There's some people
that line, like, Tara Strong's like, death by fisting!
Yeah.
That line was actually pretty funny.
But there's, you know, just like there's a lot of times like somebody falls over and their ass just falls out.
Yeah.
Like those things, like, you don't really know why that happens, it's just kind of funny.
Well, it ends with, like, Jay getting, like, butt fucked with a strap on by a girl. So, that was funny. He, like, leans out, does the whole, like, little kind of, like, camera, I don't know how to zoom in, but the thing where the little circles around their head.
Yeah.
And he's like, help me! And she pulls him back, get back here, bitch, pulls him in, then credits.
Yeah,
you know?
like the iris closes in on him.
Yeah. So... No, and then, like, well, was that character, Blunt Girl, was she actually...
That was Kevin Smith's wife.
I know it was Kevin Smith's wife, but was she in the comic book?
You know, I don't think that character was. I mean, I only read the comic once, but the ending was a lot longer, like... It makes sense, because, you know, action in comics is not nearly as interesting as, like, action in, like, live or animated, I guess.
Well, they also had, like, little nods, like, you know, like, different people from the Smodcast network were, like, lending voices for cameos and big parts. Like, Ralph Garman was Dickhead, which he uses Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation.
Yeah.
Ben Glebe, who's on Last Week on Earth, he did the voice of, like, what was the news group or whatever, the, like, nerdy guy that had, like, an iPad stuck into his chest.
Yeah, see, that character, unlike in the comic, he has, like, just a PC stuck into him, like a keyboard sticking out and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And they also had, I don't know who the diddler was. There's a guy just jerking. The black just jerking off. When he actually, I thought it was funny they made a reference when he died. Like, we just lost our one black guy. You know?
I want to say the diddler almost had, like, more, like, scenes and lines, like, in the comic book, but no, I couldn't be. At the same time, I'm like, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. They also had, like, little references, like, because, you know, they're underneath the quick stop. And I knew it was going to happen, but... Because, like, they showed in the trailer, but they actually should have just a little bit more. The part when, like, they shoot, the blunt saber goes right through the roof. Then Dante leans in through the hole. He's like, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Walks off. Another part where the audience just roared on that line.
I like how they use, like, the audio from, like, Clerks. It wasn't like they got him to come in and do it
you
that
could
way.
Tell they used the
audio.
audio.
Yeah, because it sounded completely, like, different.
Yeah. You see Randall for a second. That little, like, he gets thrown out of RST for a second.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a line, but whatever. It's fine. And, because this movie, it is Jay and Silent Bob's movie. So... But yeah.
Like, they might have had a little bit more lines in the comic, I'm not too sure. But, no, overall, it's pretty cool. But then, the Q&A afterwards was pretty cool, because I was kind of glad that, like, they actually went and talked for a bit. That was pretty fun, like the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. Yeah,
which I'm wondering if this podcast is going to go online, or if this is just going to be kind of like a stock one. Because every so often, when they can't do...
They said it was going to be number, like, 108 or whatever.
Did they?
Yeah, they mentioned that a couple times on up there.
Okay, cool, yeah. Well, I didn't realize that. I was wondering if the microphone was going to go down, then we saw a huge line up there. So I ran down there and got to get into a line. And the thing is, I actually saw him. I was about, say 25 feet away from him, which was pretty cool. But the thing is, though, people that would go up there, there's like 4 people that went up before me that had like 5-part fucking questions.
Yeah,
and they're trying to keep a conversation going with them.
Well, it's one of those ones, to me, it's like, you know... if you're gonna ask, you feel like you don't even have to say this. This should be like an unspoken rule that you go up there, you say one question, and you get the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
But no, these people that come up there, like the first guy with the dreadlocks, he's just like, hey man, I'm so fucking cool, look at me! It's just like, hey, Kevin Smith, give me a fucking part in your movie! And like, hey, Jay or Jason, you need a fucking assistant? It's just like
going, and it's just like,
don't come to your house, play video games with you, fuck, I'll butt fuck you if you want. I don't care, I'm a fucking idiot.
And there was another guy that like he was wearing like he was a really fat guy that kind of had like a dreadlocks roll, and then like he had like a black shirt.
He had sunglasses.
He had like sunglasses. He had like steampunk like sunglasses, and then he had like his black shirt had like the bantha skull from Boba Fett's armor on it. That guy was sitting like a few seats away from us. And just while we were waiting, you could hear that guy being loud and just saying, oh, I'm so excited to be here, and I got like a 30-part question for him, and this and that, and, he's just, just being very loud, just kind of leaning over and talking to people in front of him that are trying to mind their own fucking business. And this fat fuck gets up, not the fact that this motherfucker gets up there, and he starts, like, just doing the same exact thing, keeping it going, trying to like maintain a conversation with them. It's like, I understand if you meet your idol that you want to like leave an impression, but at the same time, I'm aware there's people behind me.
Yeah, it's like, really, if these people didn't go on with their 5-part fucking questions and they like the talkbacks, everybody could have answered one question.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's really only about 1 or 2 people that just asked one question and said that's it.
Yeah. Like, there's the guy, like, who would be the, like, the questions I thought were good were, like, who would be, like, out of the Smodco family, who would be what members of the Justice League? And he just left it at that. And I thought that was
it. And, Kevin Smith and Jason talked for a bit, but...
I mean, it sounds like we didn't enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. The one thing about it is it just seemed kind of like a,
Well, I guess this is, like, for me, I've never been a big fan of Q&As anyways. Whenever they happen on a podcast, or whenever they happen on, like, a DVD special feature... And I think the main reason why is there's just too many dickheads that ask stupid fucking questions and then try to stay up there too long. And that's the thing about it. It's like, yeah, there might be a good question out of like 5 people.
Well, on the bright side, I was going to say of that, since it's Kevin Smith, he's smart enough and witty enough to actually make it entertaining to entertain the stupid fucking question.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, I can understand if you go up there, because I wasn't going to ask, at first I was going to ask, if I got a chance to go up there, I was going to ask, like, a serious question, but I thought he probably would say it eventually, but I thought it might be inflicting on someone else's life, inflicting too much information on someone else's life, which was, he said at one point, Clerks 3 is going to be more of Randall's story, so I was going to ask him, since you wrote Clerks 1 and 2 where you're at in your life, is Clerks 3 more or less where you feel or Brian Johnson is at in his life? Because Randall is based off Brian Johnson. But I thought that may have been him asking too much information on another person. So
yeah, it's like, I always feel weird when people ask questions too, and they almost ask like these really personal questions. Like, really?
Which I wasn't trying to be overly personal. I was just curious about where this movie stood, kind of in a sense.
Yeah.
But then I changed it, like, you said something about injustice.
Well, I was like, because my thing is like, if I had to ask him a question, I'd just talk to him about injustice, something quick and simple.
I was going to ask, like, so I decided to change my question to something more funny, which was, like, I knew the answer would be no, but I just knew it would lead them going on to a funny rant, which would be, is there any chance of Blunt Man and Chronic being downloadable characters for Injustice?
Yeah.
So, and I guess you can spit like, oh, dude, I'd love to kick Doomsday in the dick, or something like that, so.
Something like that.
Or like if you guys were playable characters in Justice, what would be your special finishing move or something, Just something like that, and I think, that's a funny question, it's quick, and that's all I would have asked, and I would have got it out of the way, But no, I mean, it sounds like we were bitching and moaning about the whole thing, but it was actually a really cool
everything
experience.
was really good. It's just like, I just kind of hate when there's just dickheads that just think that they just feel like they're entitled to like, I'm up here on the mic, now you fuck off because I'm on the mic. And it's like, no. Or they try to do that thing where they're like they almost try to be like...
rival him.
They try to rival him, or they try to be like, almost like it's like, they try to like work their way in like they're like a friend, and it's just like, no, just ask your one question, then get the fuck out. You're not the only person here.
It's kind of how I felt, and plus people behind me were just like, fuck, when they had the dreadlocks kept on going, or the guy with the fucking sunglasses kept on going.
It's just one of those ones, it's like, you feel like you don't need to say that rule, but clearly you do, because people are fucking assholes.
Yeah.
You almost need like a security guard to come out and just chuck that guy outside, like, get the fuck out of here.
There's one guy that was pretty funny that was actually just kind of like, he wasn't funny. I want to say I don't remember what his question was. It was a normal question, but the guy got up there, he's like, just give me a sec, I'm really nervous. He's like, what are you nervous about? Just being here. Like, oh, it's not that you're like, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. You're just a pussy.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty funny, and the guy laughed about it. And
I
then
think that guy was actually legitimately nervous, though. I don't think that
he was legitimately nervous.
He wasn't doing that to be like funny.
I would have been nervous. I kind of had like, I was fucking nervous. Everything was in slow motion for a second when I realized, holy shit, I'm going to ask Kevin Smith a question. But then I realized how long other people were taking. I'm like, I'm probably not going to get a chance to ask him. So, but it was, because I was like I want to say I was number like 6 in line, and about 3 people in line. My line got to ask a question. So
I know, but it was one of those ones, like, for the amount of questions asked, though, everybody should be able to ask their questions. That's one of those ones.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the way I view it, this is going to sound somewhat conceited and overly confident, but at some point, I'll meet him in person. We'll be friends. That's why I view it.
You just got to look at the positive.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but it was a pretty good show. It was a pretty good movie and a pretty good Q&A. It was pretty interesting seeing like Kevin Smith in person. I mean, at first you get that adrenaline, like, holy shit, that's him. But then after a while, it kind of sets in. And,
just like kind of like when you see like musicians or whatever too.
And there were some parts where it was almost kind of like, even though I was enjoying it, I was almost having trouble enjoying it because I was sitting there just kind of like a football player, just ready to ask my question.
Well, that's one thing to do is I was sitting there, I was like, man, it's been like a fucking like 45 minutes. Like it's like right has to stand the whole time.
Yeah. It was fine, though. Well, at the same time, I wasn't, like, super uncomfortable. I was just standing, leaning against this wall. Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess I didn't need to pay for the expensive front row seats, because I could have just, like, I got, like, just as close just by standing, so. But, yeah.
But, no, it was pretty cool. I liked the theater. I liked everything about it, and, I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah. It was a pretty good show, and I'm curious to see, I don't really listen to, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old too often, just because every so often...
there's not enough time to listen to so many podcasts.
Yeah, there's so many podcasts to listen to, and it was pretty cool. Like, when they got up there and played the Let Us Fuck game, that was pretty funny,
Yeah. Which, like, I think the thing about sometimes, like, some of those live podcasts, too, is there's always, like... if you're just listening to the podcast audio-wise, there's too much, like, live-action shit going on that you have no idea what's going on.
Well, it's just some of the lines he said. Like, I remember, like... Somebody asked him about Dark Knight Rises, and he said, like, Kevin Smith's like, I love that movie, but it has problems, but regardless, I love it. And then, like, Jason Mewes says, I disagree. I think the movie's perfect. You see that sign when you come in here? Leave everything else on your way in. And then he says, like, think about it. The audience laughs. Kevin Smith just looks at him with just, like, the most, like, dumb, just the most, like, well, come on, man, kind of look. He says, like, yeah, man, there's another sign in the bathroom. Just wash your hands before you leave. Points his head, fucking deep.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was fun. I find that, like, Jason Mewes, he just kind of sees the good in everything and doesn't really look at the bad.
And he's just really just kind of like, it is really kind of like Jay. He does just seem like he's playing himself, Jay.
Yeah.
Like a nicer version of Jay.
Yeah, a nicer, calmer version.
So, yeah, I'd like to see him again at some point. They said they'll be back with Hollywood Babylon, so I might go see that, because my friend, you might come along too, if I don't know if you feel like coming along to that one, because I know you don't listen to Hollywood Babylon, but my good friend James Calafieri, we listen to that on my night job. We listen to that every Monday, so he's a big fan of that, so we'll probably go to that. But yeah,
that'd be cool. I'd go to it anyways just to see Kevin Smith.
Yeah. So it's usually the shout out stuff. It usually all right, cut to the chase. Yeah. But when you're actually there, I bet it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's probably better when you're there. I think just something to listen. I just think that listening to live podcasts aren't nearly as good. Like, I'm just not a big a fan whenever they're live.
I like
I like when they're more just like sit down, couple guys in a room, and that's it.
I think the Smodcast ones with like Scott and Kevin, those ones are usually pretty funny because it's just they don't open it up for question as much.
Well, yeah, I think if they don't have the question, it's different when they don't have the questions and stuff like that. Or they're not entertaining the audience. I guess you should say, like, by doing like games and stuff like that. Yeah,
which this one I was very entertained. Like I said, my only problem is just the fucking assholes that like
had the question asking assholes.
And it was really just kind of like 2 or 3 people is all it really was.
Yeah, well, there was like 2 main guys, but then I could say that most of the guys asked multiple questions, though. There's only about like 2 people that only asked one question. So.
Yeah. There's about like, I want to say 6 questions asked, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Or 6 people, rather.
Yeah, 6 people.
Yeah. Anyway, though, like to check it out again. Really good show. Good movie, so yeah.
But yeah. Well, I think we can close it there. So go on by and check out oldmanorange.com. They'll lead you to all kinds of fun shit. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan. Send us some emails.
We'll see you later.
Next time, Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Bye.